I will call the Arapahoe County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Public meeting today is September 5th, 2017. And to my left is Ron Carl, County Attorney. To my right, Jolene Sanchez, Assistant Clerk to the Board. Ms. Sanchez, would you call the roll of the Board, please?
Commissioner Jackson? Here. Commissioner Holland? Commissioner Conti? Good morning. Commissioner Baker?
Here.
Commissioner Sharp?
Here. And Commissioner Baker, would you please lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Carl, are there any modifications to the agenda this morning?
There are none.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker, seconded by Commissioner Holland. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. We have one set of minutes to approve this morning, August 15th, 2017. We had a full board. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Conti, seconded by Commissioner Holland. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak during public comment period? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to approval of the consent agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. We have one general business or public hearing, case number P14-020. Our attorney on this matter is Mr. Robert Hill, Senior Assistant County Attorney. Our presenter is Mr. Jason Reynolds, Current Planning Manager, Public Works and Development. Mr. Hill, would you please set the foundation?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This final plat application has been properly noticed by publication, mailing, and posting of the property. In addition, the severed mineral rights have been noticed. The board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Mr. Reynolds, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is a proposal for a final plat which would create 162 single-family lots in the Copperleaf area. The site is located east of Sky Vista Middle School and south of Ratcliffe, which runs east and west south of Quincy through the Copperleaf development. The proposal meets the density requirements for this area of the Copperleaf PUD, and it complies with the review criteria for a final plat, as well as is in general compliance with the comprehensive master plan. The applicant held a neighborhood meeting on April 26th and reported that there were no major comments from nearby neighbors, and this comes to you with a staff recommendation of approval. One thing I would like to point out is that this is one of the first applications to come through under our new PUD zoning process, and staff is concurrently processing an administrative site plan that details the landscaping and locations for all the infrastructure within this plat. Under the old scheme, that would have gone through a public hearing process, but under the recently adopted PUD regulations, we were able to do that administratively and just bring the plat forward to the Board of County Commissioners. As I mentioned, this does have a recommendation of approval, and if any of the commissioners have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions? Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. As I read in the BSR, the water, we have a will serve letter in terms of water. Drainage issues have been addressed, but I was wondering if there was a traffic study done. Just concerned about Quincy and how crowded it is now and what the future projections might be.
Certainly, I'll
Thank you.
Mr. Smith from engineering to respond to that.
Morning, Commissioners.
Yes, what we've been doing, Copperleaf was, when it was first developed, had a master traffic study that was done that made certain assumptions on the different land uses and the traffic generated based on those. And what we've done with recent Copperleaf project, as they come in, we're having them basically submit kind of a letter revision from their traffic engineer, and they analyze what was initially assumed and included in that initial report, and they're comparing what the proposed use is. And in, I think, almost every case that I've seen over the last couple of years, those are coming in with, like, they'll have kind of a lower density or a less traffic generator, and so they're just comparing and showing us those numbers and saying it's generating less. So that's the level of evaluation we've done. We're making sure they're not exceeding what was planned on in the initial report, and then we're kind of allowing that design based on that.
Commissioner.
This is a traffic-related question, too, since you're up there. I don't believe Radcliffe Parkway has been completely built through east and west through this property yet?
Correct, it has not.
Okay. And then there's a north-south connector that will go across both at Piccadilly and at Himalaya. And then at Malta, I believe, there's Malaya. Is it Malaya? I can't. It says M-A. Yeah.
Malaya, yes. I believe
Malaya.
To the site to Radcliffe.
And I believe there's already signals at Himalaya and Piccadilly. Would there be a signal contemplated in the future for Malaya?
At this point, no. There's been no identification, and that was not identified as a potential signal in that master access plan for Copperleaf.
And right now, I
That's not to
believe
say that.
it's a right turn only. They're not going to be able to turn left on Quincy. Is that my understanding correctly? As I read through this.
Onto Quincy.
Yeah. At Malaya.
To Radcliffe. Malaya ties into Radcliffe.
Right, but it also goes north to Quincy. And I'm just wondering, I thought I saw someplace in there that initially there will be only a right-hand turn allowed at, if you're coming north, I'm assuming the street will be called Malaya, as it connects across Quincy. At least that's the name of the street to the north. And I thought there was something in here about being only allowed, at least initially, only allowed to turn right to go east on Quincy instead of being able to turn left and go west on Quincy.
Now the future connection to Quincy there was not evaluated with this site because we're just tying in
Right, okay.
Radcliffe.
That'll be coming in with the other two northern parcels, I assume.
Right.
Okay. I'll wait until that presentation and ask the same question.
Okay, and this project has, I've got to go back here, was originally 177 homes, and now it's 162. Is that correct?
Yes, with their initial submittal, it had a larger number of homes. They realized after the first review that some of the homes were encroaching on essentially a drainage easement, so they sort of redesigned the lots and reduced the number of units.
Any other questions? Oh, Mr. Reynolds. Would anyone like to hear from the applicant?
The applicant is available if there are any questions for them.
Thank you. Mr. Frank? Welcome. Good morning.
Richard Frank, 7400 East Orchard, Greenwood Village, 80111. I didn't come prepared for a presentation, but I answer any questions. I think the access point, I think it's Malta and Quincy's a 3/4 turn. There's no left out. So I didn't know if he answered that or not. But answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Commissioner Holen.
My question, Mr. Frank, is this. How did you like the accelerated processing procedures that we've agreed to?
I like it, not going to planning commission. It shaves off quite a bit of time. And I think the administrative approval, if you approve this today, comes next. Right. I like it.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you, Mr. Frank.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll now open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this issue? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, and Commissioner Baker, I'll ask for a motion.
In the case of P14-020, Copperleaf Filing Number 11, Final Plat, I have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation and any public comment as presented at the public hearing, and hereby move to approve this application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. 1. Prior to signature of the final copy of these plans, the applicant must address Public Works staff comments and concerns. 2. The development shall comply with the conditions of the April 10th, 2017 Cunningham Fire Protection District letter. 3. The development shall incorporate practices recommended in the April 14th, 2017 Colorado Geological Survey letter. And 4. The plat shall provide utility easements requested by Public Service Company of Colorado, otherwise known as Xcel Energy.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Holen. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Frank. Okay, are there any commissioner comments? Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. I just want to mention that I believe all of our hearts and thoughts are with the folks who have been suffering from these devastating hurricanes, rainstorms, and the fires in the western part of the United States. It just seems that we are blessed to live in Colorado, and I am just mindful of that blessing. And as I say, my thoughts are with those who are suffering from these tragedies.
Last week, several of our county commissioners made an effort to go on the Aurora water tour, and we found it extremely interesting, and I think we're all convinced of the need for expanding our reservoir capability on the western slope and also on the eastern slope to meet the potential of a drought. Currently, Aurora water provides over 160,000 acre feet of storage capacity. This will increase it by, I think it's about 50,000 square cubic feet of water. The point that we really came away with is how innovative and committed our municipalities, water districts, and the county's concern about adequate water. It impacts, a lot of people don't realize this, but over 80% of the water that comes, that is stored or released in Colorado goes directly to agriculture. The rest goes to municipalities, and it's very important for us to support the efforts to increase our storage capacity so we don't run into the drought problems that so affected Arizona in the last couple of years. So I just want to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Commissioner Holen, anybody else? Commissioner Conti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I also want to bring to light the recent suicides that have happened in this Arapahoe County area. We've had 3 different families that unfortunately had the heart-wrenching loss of those who chose to take their own life, and that our thoughts and our prayers are with them and in this time of great grief.
And along those lines, next week is Suicide Prevention Awareness Week, and we'll talk about it again next week, but wearing the yellow ribbons, and Arapahoe County recognizes suicide as a serious public health issue and can have lasting harmful effects, as Commissioner Conti said, on families, friends, co-workers, and the community. And the causes are definitely complex, but our goal is suicide prevention. And we have a lot of we're very fortunate in Arapahoe County that we have a lot of resources, and hope that families and certainly I had a discussion with the Littleton School Board member where a number of these tragedies took place, about how to do better in the schools with kids, because what's happening today is, in spite of all of the efforts, is not as effective as it needs to be. And I just want to mention that All Health Network, Aurora Mental Health, Colorado Crisis Services, and the Trevor Project for LGBT Youth are all, and many others are available to help with youth and their issues and concerns, and families as well. So we will talk about that again next week. But any other comments or questions? If not, meeting is adjourned. Thank you. I don't see why we